think you have to put a little parentheses in saying for this amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's important because I
Yeah.
like Brunson, but my God, man.
What is going on? I want to welcome you from F-Core for today, April 20th, 2022. 420, blaze it, baby. I'm your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my guy, Jeff Iafredi. Jeff, how we doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. I got the Philly and Toronto game on. It's
Same
pretty
here,
close.
man.
It's only they're only down 6.
Yeah, and Harden's kind of being bitchy, and Joel's being Joel. It's playoff basketball, man. It's what you want to see. But also, we're joined by 6'3" from Marquette, Michigan, Troy Sergey. Troy, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Going good, Sean. It's been a fun weekend. So much playoffs, man. So much playoffs.
Absolutely, man. There's been a lot of basketball in the last 2 weeks in general. We didn't have you last week, but now Troy, you're back. It's good to have you back. I missed you. But there's a lot of basketball to talk about. Real quick, I do want, before we get into full playoff basketball, what the hell happened with the Charlotte Hornets in
Big
that playing game?
I want to go a little deeper, Sean. What happened to the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Well, here's the thing. We can kind of tell what happened to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They just got Jared Allen back. They faced the Atlanta Hawks, who went to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Charlotte Hornets lose again, get their asses kicked in the second year in a row in the play-in tournament, allow 42 points in the second quarter. 42 points. Like, guys, like, what am I missing here, man? Like, this is insane.
Well, honestly, Sean and Troy, to celebrate the 420, this is the theme for today. It all did start when LaMelo Ball was smoking that dude. and honestly, that is the facts. After that, the series, they lost, obviously, the game, but no, it wasn't because of that. But no, the Charlotte Hornets, what a meltdown, man. And people over here in Detroit actually want to pay Miles Bridges $30 million a year.
I was going to say the role guys, they're second, third option guys. Like, Rozier kind of stepped up in that game, but Bridges and even some of their six-man, Plumlee just didn't work out. Like, guys who you expect to at least contribute a little bit, they just were absent.
Mm-hmm. So, this year, the Hornets were 10th. Last year, the Hornets were 10th. The year before, the Hornets were 10th. The year before, the Hornets were 9th. The year before, the Hornets were 11th. Like this team for the last 7 years, if you go through their standings, have ended up in either anywhere from 9th to 11th, or anywhere from 8th to 11th. My apologies. This team, it doesn't matter who's on the roster. The Charlotte Hornets are the same Hornets every single year. LaMelo Ball hasn't meant a damn thing. So now they're in a situation where they're going to have to pay a good amount of money now for they're going to have to pay a good amount of money for Miles Bridges this summer because he wants a max contract. Jeff, am I feeling good about cashing in on this core? What changes need to be made?
I think this year, the biggest shock to me, seeing Miles Bridges obviously have a career year, which was great to see. But I think the Charlotte Hornets got to make a move. They got to go out and get us a superstar. Like, I get Miles Bridges is great, but if that's your number one scorer, there's problems on the team because you can't count. Miles Bridges this year just had a breakout season. I don't know Miles Bridges and what he has for the future. All right. And obviously you saw it in the play-in tournament. Now you just read the standings off, and I can't really say much because the Pistons the last 3 years, we've been neighbors with them down there. But again, I think the Hornets need to go out and get somebody, man. They have a lot of assets. They have LaMelo Ball, who, in my opinion, I love LaMelo, but the Cade like LaMelo to me, I just don't see LaMelo ever reaching like the ceiling I see for Cade. Like there's levels to it. Like I think LaMelo is going to be a great player to watch. He's really entertaining to watch. He's exciting, but I think there's work ethic concerns. I think there's just his overall mentality when he's out there playing. I see LaMelo where he is right now. He's going to get a little better, but I kind of see LaMelo staying that way. I don't see LaMelo Ball being your number one option on any team that's going to go deep in the playoffs. That's a great piece to a team. So the Hornets got to figure it out. I like their head coach, but besides that, yeah, Miles Bridges, man, I think him overproducing this year has a lot to do with their success and or lack thereof, rather. So without Miles Bridges, they got to go out and get a real superstar. I mean, whether they give the bag to Miles Bridges or not, if they do, I will not be surprised. It is a Hornets move for them to go out and re-sign Bridges to a huge fat contract.
Right.
But beware, please. Committing that much money, Sean, you see them, their ceiling, if you give all that money to Miles Bridges, they're going to still float around the 8 to 10 seed. Like, I don't see them just taking a humongous jump. So, to me, Hornets fans, if you're watching, which I doubt you are, go out and get a superstar. You have guys that teams are going to be able to want or going to want. So, that's my suggestion from a Pistons fan.
Yeah,
go out
I
and get
think Gordon Hayward, at the very least, he's got to go.
Overpaid.
It's not a good fit with this team. It's a bad contract. That would be the one reason why you'd maybe bring in Russell Westbrook, so you could buy out his contract and like give like that max freedom over time. But like, there's not a good solution for this team. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see a good, like, they're still a couple years away from being something serious. Troy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, unfortunately, they need to do all those things that we just mentioned, that Jeff mentioned and you mentioned, Sean, but they're not going to do it, right? We're talking about the Charlotte Hornets. They're not going to trade away their assets. They're not going to assets. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, the truth is you could explore options with Bridges. You could not re-sign Bridges and then clear your cap space up that way. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely in a pickle, and I just don't see it getting better. And I think too, a guy like LaMelo, I guess, I mean, they're in no way, shape, or form looking to trade him, but of course he has trade value. I don't know what that would look like exactly. And I don't know what kind of superstar they could get out of maybe somehow a package of Ball and Bridges. But yeah, I mean, I think Jeff said it really well. They need a superstar, but what I have to say with that is they're not going to get it.
No.
Yeah.
Real quickly, I don't see, like, you know how Oklahoma City went out and got Paul George. Like, these teams go out and get these guys. To your point, I don't see the Hornets doing that, but I really don't. You don't hear the Hornets in trade conversation. Like, if there's a disgruntled superstar, the Hornets are in talks to acquire. Right. No, it's not.
Like, they surely could try, and it's not like they
should.
And it's not like at some point they can't at least make a swing. It's just that they have to free up cap space and free up a lot of the decisions that they made now. That's the thing, is what's going to put them behind is the bad decisions that they made previously, because they overpaid for guys like Gordon Hayward, when instead they went out and tried to get young talent to pair with these guys. And I think that's where, like, they make the mistake is, you know, like, a lot of times you try to sign these veterans because you're like, oh, well, we don't really get free agents. Well, we could just pay Gordon Hayward more than other teams would, because, you know, we know that his value's at his lowest. So it's like, oh, well, that's a good thing. No, that's not a good thing. That means don't pay him the damn money because no one else wants to. Like, why would you sign that guy to a max deal? He didn't look like max deal guy ever.
And I think that's a struggle too, that I think all 30 teams in the NBA need to look themselves in the mirror with when they have guys like a Bridges, right? Where is this guy worth the max, right? I mean, we had a similar problem a few years ago of Andre Drummond. You know, he showed signs with stats of someone who could be an all-star. He was an all-star.
He was expecting to get the max deal. He literally was like,
expected.
I'm owed this contract. And then
but you look in the mirror and say, no, I'm not going to pay you that money.
Well,
you don't deserve that money.
All he was worth in a trade was Brandon Knight, John Henson, and a bag of Cheez-Its.
Yeah, right. And that's the realistic value of a guy like that. But some people can't look in the mirror and see that. They see a max guy when he's not there. Right. It's a delusion.
Well, statistically, again, a lot of guys can put up 20 points. And we think 20 points means max guy, but Tobias Harris is a nice.
Not in this league. Not one league so deep like this. Go ahead.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong either. Like, Miles Bridges, he's a great player, but once you start bringing, like, the rumors came out, obviously, of what he wanted, and that's where he lost me. Like, I like months ago, I'm sure you had this conversation. I had this conversation with many people. Like, hey, I like Miles Bridges. Like he obviously went to MSU, like clearly a guy that he kind of fits the mold of what
From
Troy Weaver
Flint,
would like.
like literally
Yeah,
a
from
Michigan
Flint,
guy.
obviously Michigan native, right? So, but again, what he wants, like Troy Weaver spent this time clearing cap. Don't go in reverse, please.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not the right deal. It's not the right time. And even then I don't think it's realistic. So any Pistons fans trying to get your hopes up for that, I would stop. But anyway, the Charlotte Hornets absolutely in a disappointing spot. I don't know how you fix this because, this was supposed to be the year where they were going to redeem themselves. They put all that work in just to end up losing by 2 less points this year than you did last year. Great job, Charlotte. You did it. You proved that you're the same. But anyway, with that, it's now time to focus on the teams that actually made the playoffs because guys, there was a lot of basketball played this weekend. I would argue that there was no game that had more hype surrounding it than the game that happened on Sunday afternoon in Boston, Massachusetts between the Brooklyn Nets and Boston Celtics. And guys, this game was crazy. It went down to the wire. Kyrie Irving was flipping off fans in the stands. He was chirping with them.
I love
Kevin
it.
Durant played probably his worst game of the year, I would argue.
Yeah.
And then you have this situation where Jason Tatum gets a last second layup to put the Celtics on top and win the game. I said this Boston team could be a contender. Do either of you believe that now after watching game one?
Yeah, I definitely do, Sean. And I think what you saw out of Jason Tatum proved a lot of that, but also what you saw out of Marcus Smart, a guy that had no problem facilitating the ball the whole game long, a guy that can play 3 and D like just about anyone in the league that's worth talking about, right? And you had production, a little bit of production with guys like Tyson stuff in the first quarter, but he got kind of into foul trouble. But I think of a core like that, I think they're definitely missing Robert Williams, but Jaylen Brown too. We haven't even talked about him. He played bonkers last night too. Excellent performance from him. So they have the pieces, Sean, and it's cool that it's working together because if you recall in the beginning of the season, you and I both saw 8th seed out of them, 7th or 8th seed, and the fact that they're a 2nd seed and doing so well, I absolutely think they're a contender. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Well, even getting 20 and 15 out of Al Horford. Like when's the last time we've seen Al Horford get 20 and 15, let alone in the playoffs? Like this was a guy that when he came back to Boston, we wondered if he was coming back as a shell of himself. And if anything, it's just being proved that his best games are in a Boston Celtics uniform. Jeff, what were your thoughts?
Another thing, and to add to your point, because I agree, I think they're definitely a contender. That just looking out east, I would say the Bucks are my favorite to get out of the East, but still, it's not like it's a drop off. Like I think there's Boston's certainly a team, even if they, assuming let's say they do beat Brooklyn, if they face Milwaukee, that's still a deep series they can go into. So for Boston, they kind of had 2 seasons. They had the first half of the season up until the trade deadline. They acquired Derek White, which underrated move by the way, because since then. They're like 28-7, whatever it is, the ridiculous, one of the best records since the trade deadline. So with this Boston team, certainly they're deadly, man. And they remind me of the Suns in a way because of their length. They have so many guys that can guard multiple positions. Like you mentioned, Marcus Smart, dog, by the way. When he's on, the whole team's on. He's like a double A battery for the whole team, honestly. So with the Celtics, they're definitely a contender. Now, I may have Brooklyn winning that series, but that's just me talking. I like Brooklyn, but again, Boston to me, like if you told me, like if we look back on this, we go in the next couple weeks and Boston's in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'll be like, yeah, they're a pretty damn good team. Like that's how I feel about them.
I mean, honestly, you could make the argument that this series could decide the Eastern Conference. It could. Like, I mean, Milwaukee is damn good. And I still have Milwaukee going to the finals at the end of the day. But this series has a lot of implications for the entire league, in my opinion. And the fact that one of these teams could be gone after the first round, crazy.
I think that's the craziest thing is that's a fact, Sean. What you just said is a fact. One of these teams will not be playing in 2 weeks, right? So that says a lot of the depth of the league, I think, ultimately. But to your point, Jeff, I wouldn't be surprised either if I see Boston and Milwaukee. I certainly can see now at this point Boston beating a Philly for sure. So,
yeah, 100%. And it's just, it's just crazy. Now I will say one thing I did just see. Huge congratulations. The NBA Defensive Player of the Year is Marcus Smart. He officially won Kia Defensive Player of the Year. So congratulations, Marcus Smart. That's crazy.
I think Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted Bridges.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges got snubbed.
I like Marcus Smart, but what Mikal Bridges did, like his versatility, like I get Marcus Smart's versatile as well, but Mikal is just, my God. Like he had more steals and blocks, I think, than Marcus Smart. Or he might have, Marcus Smart had more steals, but Mikal brings both factors, man. He can guard more positions. Like he to me is defensive player of the year, but what the hell do I know? Obviously, congrats to Marcus Smart.
And he's on to you. Bridges is on to you like a seagull on a French fry. Like seriously, like he hovers you all game long.
What I look at is the best defensive player on the best team, and Phoenix is the best team, and he's their best defensive player. So like that's just kind of how I judge defensive player of the year. But hey, congrats to Marcus Smart. He's still a beast. Their second season. I mean,
what do we know?
Player. Yeah, what do we know? Marcus Smart's really good.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where he did play lights out defense all year. I would say defensive player of the year is the hardest award to judge because there is so many different ways you can go about it. Like you could make the argument from you could really you could go to the statistics and the analytics. You could go for the eye test. You could really go a lot of different ways. And defensive greatness at different positions is very different than others. So being a great rim protector and being a perimeter defender are two very different things. And having to grade and pair them is insane. But another series that I thought was crazy and I think has a lot more legs to it than people really gave it the credit for was the Minnesota-Memphis series. And oh man, Anthony Edwards had a little bit of a coming out party. Guys, this guy's special.
He's honestly, I think one day he's going to be easily top 5 in scoring, if not higher. Like he has that ceiling. He's a bucket. And not just that, if he can lock in, which he has been defensively, you hear the interview him talking about, he's like, I'm the best defensive player in the NBA. Like he just walks it, he talks it, and I love it. Like he's a guy that I love watching and a guy that I'm excited to see. Like you're seeing it right now in a Minnesota team that has a lot of questionable, like D'Angelo Russell, great, but how is he in the playoffs? Karl Anthony Towns, great, but how is he in the playoffs? Like Anthony Edwards is your like shining light. Like this guy, you saw it the other night, single-handedly just tear apart Memphis. So, and Memphis is a pretty damn good defensively. So, you know what? Credit to them, man. And Patrick Beverley, underrated. It's like he's gotten the most out of these guys as well. So, Anthony Edwards, I love watching him. He's a joy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, I think with Anthony Edwards is he showed me on Saturday that he belongs in this league. Not just that, but he belongs in the playoffs. Like he is taking on himself.
He can be a superstar, not just an all-star. He can be a superstar.
Right. So I think, how he defended the ball, how he shot the ball. I was really impressed with his three-point shooting. I think he's a guy that has a ceiling of, I mean, he could be even an MVP one day. I mean, because he plays both sides of the courts, and we don't know what team he'll end up for the long run. He could be a Timberwolf for life, but who knows? So you put that guy in a contender, you might see a second or first option on a championship team.
And I know there's a lot of questions too with Anthony Edwards coming out. Like, does he love basketball? And if you can get him to just buy in, which they seem to have gotten him to, my God.
I was just going to talk about that. Can we talk about how stupid that is real quick? Because literally every implication, even just him talking about oh, I love the crowds. I love this atmosphere. Like he clearly loves basketball. And it's literally
I think the comment originated from him, them asking about, he's like, well, I've always wanted to play football. Like that was his thing. But I think he loves basketball, to your point.
Right. Well, it's like the same people that say Chet Holmgren's too skinny to be a good NBA player, but I digress. But anyway, on the flip side though, I mean, for one team, they shine, right? But on the other end, you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, and as a team, they came out flat.
Very
just as
flat.
a whole. They defensively had no answers for Anthony Edwards, no answers for the Minnesota Timberwolves as a whole. And when you have home court and you allow a team to come in and steal game one like that, that can change the dynamics of an entire series. Now, don't get me wrong, this team can come out in game two and wipe the floor, reset the series, and they're done in 5. But at the same time, not to overreact, but game one did not go their way at all. And this shows this might be more of a series than people gave it credit for.
And one thing I found really interesting is they asked, I forgot what reporter it was, but they asked Anthony Edwards, like, do you think your guys' lack of playoff experience will, come into and he's like, wait, hold up. Like, Memphis isn't experienced in the playoffs either. So I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? That's why this series is so great, because it's honestly like you got two teams that aren't very experienced and they have veterans. And I think this is where Patrick Beverley's value comes in right here in this moment.
Big time.
So honestly, it's going to be interesting. This is why it's one of my favorite series to watch, because I think Memphis is going to win, but I think Minnesota is going to be clawing. It's going to be tough.
And I think you're going to really see what John Morant's made out of. I mean, Jeff, a couple weeks ago, you made a great argument for John Morant for MVP, and I would agree to that. But we're going to really see what this guy is made out of this series, this particular series. So I've heard some Warriors fans are a little scared that they have a hard time getting past Memphis. And
I don't know, man. I was just about to say with the Warriors, I wouldn't feel very scared with how they looked in game one, because the death lineup, the new up-to-date death lineup for the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, the small ball 5 that lineup provides.
It's disgusting.
My God. Unfair. Like, Jordan Poole looks like a molding version of like CJ McCollum and Steph Curry.
Big time. From the G League to Steph Curry kind of playing, and
Like, there were people tweeting that Steph Curry should just keep coming off the bench and Jordan Poole should start. And the fact that people are saying that as a joke, but also like the fact that like that's even out there at all.
Kidding, not kidding, right? Kidding, not kidding.
Yeah, it's like kidding, but not kidding. 100%.
I think Jordan Poole's like the most important player in this series. Like, for some reason, like he just is the guy. Like, he had obviously a great game one, but as Steph kind of comes back and gets his rhythm, Jordan Poole's got to just keep being confident, man. Especially Klay right now, like he's looking good, but Klay's got to come back. Steph's got to come back. Jordan Poole's been there, man. He's been there and he's been hooping. So I love when the Warriors roll out. That's another team, man. They get sneak back, get in the Western Conference Finals, like Ice Cube said, fuck around and get a triple double. Well, the Warriors could fuck around and make the Western Conference Finals. So it's gonna be, they're a good team still. That's why I said, remember I was talking about this probably 2 months ago on the podcast, talking about the Warriors. My God, man, they got some dogs there. They got some dogs over there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's just a lot of reason to believe that this Warriors team is very much still in the conversation, and that for years to come, not only do they have the stars of the present, but they have the stars of the future, and Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole, just the guys that they have in that roster. It's scary to think this Warriors team's not going anywhere. Not anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
Moses Moody doesn't even play.
They still have James Wiseman. He's still on the roster, by the way. Bet you forgot about that, because I did. But anyway, that's where that's at. But then going on, we also have the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat. Guys, the Hawks suck.
Big time, dude. And I don't really understand why. I mean, Capella's been playing decent towards the end, but this past week.
Yeah, Capella got injured. That didn't help. But on top of that, like, it's not that they're bad defensively. They don't defend. Like they are a bad defensive team in the way that it just looks like some possessions they don't even pretend to give a like they just don't. Jeff, like what the hell?
Yeah,
Like, what the
it's
actual hell?
it's an issue, and that's why, especially now, if you look around, like that's why if you can't defend, come the postseason, you're going to get exposed. Like teams that make it far in the postseason, you can do both things, and that's why the Nets last year they were so bad defensively, but they came into the playoffs and they became great defensively, and that's what got them at least a chance. I mean, obviously they had a lot of injuries that kind of riddled them, but yeah, Sean, if you can't defend, especially on the perimeter, you got people that are going to kill you, going to expose you. So
Well,
good luck with it.
especially in this league,
Yeah.
in this age, like if you look top down in the roster and you look or you just look at the entire league as a whole, the top teams, the ones that are in the finals, the ones that are competing for championships, the best teams in the league are doing it at both ends of the court. The Milwaukee Bucks were where they were because of their defensive ability.
The Celtics.
The Celtics, they're great because of their defense. The Phoenix Suns, the true thing that makes them great is how overwhelming they are on the defensive end and how much length and versatility they have. And so the Hawks, like, I just don't get it, man. This team made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and now they're going to get swept in the first round.
And I love Trae Young too. Like he's one of my talk about favorite players to watch. Trae Young's up there. I think he's still can be a villain, which is why I love watching him. But the thing with Trae Young is, and similar to what we were talking about earlier with Karl Anthony Towns, like, and Trae's done in the postseason. Don't get me wrong, he's a killer, straight killer. But when he's off, man. Like when Trae is off and he's not hitting shots, he's like 4 for 20. Like there's no in between. It's like a Sadiq Bey-esque shooting night, just more attempts. And Trae Young, but when he's on, you saw it the obviously in the play-in tournament, like he's on. But I just, man, they're again, that's a team that they got a lot of good players, but they don't have anything overwhelming besides Trae Young. And that they have Gallinari, they have Bogdan, like they have some guys, but again, I mean, it's tough out there and they need Clinton healthy.
The Atlanta Hawks as a team were 38% from the field. They shot 27% from 3, 10 of 36, and their leading scorer was Danilo Gallinari with 17 points. Trae Young, 8 points, 1 of 12 from the field, 0 of 7 from 3. So,
it's
you're not going to win. You're not going to win many games when you can't hit the broadside of a barn. And so I would imagine that they're going to make more shots tomorrow or as of recording tomorrow, but there's no chance in hell this team does anything this year. The Miami Heat are going to have an easy time with them.
And they're so motivated. The Heat.
Yeah. Now, this Utah-Dallas series, I can't help but look at it, and I just can't help but be mad at the Dallas Mavericks front office and organization as a whole. Like, what the level of idiocy to literally sabotage your own player's health. Put him in a compromise.
Your superstar.
When your franchise. Literally your franchise. Like, why would you threat with this? Like, what's the reason?
There is no reason. It's a waste of time to think that there's a reason.
I know. And Jason, I talked about this with Sean. Like, Jason Kidd knows better. Like, he's a former head coach. He was a head coach. Obviously, Jason Kidd is the player, but a former head coach coming back. He was assistant last with the Lakers. Now he's with the Mavericks. And you'd think he would know better. Like, given the circumstances of the Mavericks, they're top heavy. If Luka Doncic, if you're going to risk him getting injured on the last damn game of the year, like, who in their right mind? It's not like you were the 8th or 9th seed. Like, You're not fighting. Like, you're what are they comfortably at 4? So, oh my God, I hope it was worth it. I hope it was worth it.
Yeah, because now he's not playing a game 2, and even though as of right now they're winning by 8, they are handling the Utah Jazz as of right now in game 2 pretty well. I mean that is the thing. If there is a team that can it up, it's the Utah Jazz because they've been underwhelming to say the least and they're heading towards a breakup this off season.
They have to.
Yeah, and the scary thing, if I'm a Utah Jazz fan, if they trade Donovan Mitchell, I'm done. I'm done. Like there's nothing, there's no reason why you would not trade Rudy Gobert. Like, why keep Rudy Gobert and not Donovan Mitchell? Is there any reason at all?
It might be flip-flop, but again, like, who are they going to go out and get?
Right.
That's the
my
problem
question.
with Utah. Like, who's going to want? I mean, if you trade
Westbrook,
oh my God! Imagine even Quinn Snyder knows I can't fix that. I can't fix that.
Well, they do have they do have Danny Ainge up there in the front office. He's the CEO. He's the president of basketball operations there. He can make some things happen. And when he was in when he was in Boston, he definitely swung for the fences.
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did. But again, I don't know. Utah's an interesting franchise because they're just a team that every year is in the equation, but then they're out of the equation. Like there's not like I never take Utah serious.
You know what the other problem is? Rudy Gobert is so bad of an offensive player.
That's the issue. And everyone's tweeting stats. Oh my God, Rudy Gobert. Did you see it? No field goal attempts, but he's given effort. He has 5-6 free throws made.
Most screens in the game.
And listen, he's a defensive player of the year candidate every damn year. But there's times when Rudy Gobert is a liability. Like there is. Like, and that, but also there's times where he gives you a significant advantage. So it goes both ways. But again, I mean, Utah is just Utah, man. They're again, talk about top heavy.
Well, they don't have anyone else on the team that can protect the rim. So they have to play a lot of drop coverage on defense, and then he drops, and then that opens up the perimeter, which allows teams to just make threes on them the entire time.
Bang on them,
which they can't defend because they don't have anybody that could defend the perimeter well, because they had Joe Ingles. And that was their starting small forward. Like they had Bogdanovich and Ingles, two of the slowest mother in the east side of the Mississippi. It's insane. So
they're done.
Yeah, they're chalked. But it's that's going to be an interesting series.
I think they beat Dallas though.
You think they beat Dallas? I think so too.
Yeah. I think they beat Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, if Dallas, first of all, I would not bring back Luka at this point. I would say you are playing with fate there.
Yeah, especially if you go down early. Like if you're down 2-0, like 3-0.
Right. And you go down 0-2, Jeff. You lost your home games. Now you have to go on the road and try to win them back.
Yep. It's not exactly a silver lining situation. But with that, there's just a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things that can happen as this goes down. The Philadelphia 76ers, Tyrese Maxey had an amazing game 1 performance for the 76ers. Even Tobias Harris played some pretty good basketball. Still waiting for Joel Embiid to really, really step it up. I know in game 2, he's having a pretty damn good performance right now. But guys, Troy, I know at the beginning of the deadline, you said that the Philadelphia 76ers are your favorite to get to the finals. Troy, are they still your favorite to get to the finals?
They're just not, Sean. And
I love how at least he's honest.
They're just not.
What I thought would be their downfall is their downfall of they're just having a hard time playing together and playing that team-centered championship-like basketball. And not that I expected them to, but I would have liked to have thought them to. I mean, they have guys who I thought were hungry, guys who I thought could play together. You are seeing Embiid step up a little bit, but I thought Harden would take on that role of facilitator more than scorer. I really did, but I don't know. I'm not seeing that more. But one thing I am very impressed. Go ahead.
I think he's facilitating fine. I think the problem is they need him to be more of a scorer, and he can't. Right.
He can't. But he's trying and failing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he has to though. Like even with the facilitating, he can go out and give you 10, 15 assists a night. If James Harden isn't giving you 25 points, this team isn't doing a damn thing.
Yeah.
Right. But a guy that I am impressed with, and I cannot wait for the future to see what he does more, is Tyrese Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey's been awesome.
Excellent
Now,
addition to that team. Go ahead.
They won't have Matisse Thybulle when they go to Toronto. That is
Okay,
still
because he doesn't have the vaccine, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think he's only gotten one dose. I think he got the first dose, and I think he quote unquote forgot, which I'm not entirely sure. But I mean, hey, it's your funeral anyway. But looking at the landscape now, looking after the first weekend of playoff games, has there been any changing of opinions or any teams that have? How about this? What's the one team that surprised you the most? What's the team that disappointed you the most?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Ooh, honestly, I can't really say I'm. Actually, I can say Memphis. That's the one team. I mean, I'm looking around.
Yeah.
Everyone that I kind of expected to win won. Now, before I kind of misjudged the youth and how that would play a factor, but I thought Memphis would come out way more just locked in and ready. And Minnesota looked like the way more just.
It almost looked like they didn't take the Timberwolves seriously.
Yeah, that's probably what it was as well. Like, this is the thing I love about the play-in is you have teams coming off a win into a series. Like, so they're already like that's why Minnesota came out just clicking. So it'd have to be Memphis. I wouldn't say I'm surprised really with anybody else. I mean, I thought Brooklyn could close that game, and my God, the Celtics fought back, but everybody else kind of got the job done. So it's really just Memphis.
Yeah, 100%.
For me, maybe not so much in the playoff game itself, but just kind of how their season unraveled towards the end. But the Chicago Bulls, guys, they're a team that I thought could be a third seed or even a second seed when it was all said and done, and definitely be in the second round, and maybe even be in the Eastern Conference Finals if they got really lucky. But they were a team that just kind of staggered at the end, and I just thought. Of course, maybe with that Lonzo Ball, they might be a little bit different team, but I don't know. I will say Vucevic stepped up yesterday. DeRozan looked fine, but they're not the same team that they were 4 months ago.
So, my biggest thing. So first of all, Milwaukee didn't even play a great game, and at first, towards the beginning, it looked like Chicago was going to be out of it. And then they clawed their way back, and Giannis, he had a Giannis-like game, played the way that he's gonna play. But you look at Chicago, and it almost just feels like they're kind of turning into what our fear of what their downside could be, which is two volume heavy shooters in the front court. And DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. DeMar shot 6 of 25 from the field. Zach LaVine went 6 of 19. And Vucevic went 9 of 27.
They couldn't hit the side of a barn, man.
And so
that first half,
yeah. And so the thing is, they were clawing their way, and they were still in this game. They had no right to be, because offensively, they shot 32% from the field. They were ass, but they were still in this game, which says a lot. But if they want to even get a game against Milwaukee, they're just going to have to be better. And I have no faith in this team doing anything serious without Lonzo Ball. I just don't. He was such a big thing for this team. He was such a key piece. And so him being gone, Caruso being back's a good thing, helps a little bit. Having Patrick Williams back, I don't really know what they expect him to do for them without having a season to build up to now. But, I mean, hey, if you want to give significant minutes to a guy that has hardly any experience in the regular season in the playoffs, it's your funeral. But
And this is where the Bulls too, like this, it's a team that I agree with you, Troy. I was actually excited for the season because I thought the Bulls would be, pretty serious, legit contenders. Now I didn't know the injuries happened, Alonzo Ball and everything, but still, Chicago's problem, or it's not really a problem. It's just the issue they run into is number one, you're facing the defending champs. I mean, they have the 3rd seed, and you guys, this is why the regular season, I get it. People don't take it as seriously sometimes, but when you don't take it seriously until you're facing, the 3rd seed champions. So they're in a boat right now where they're still trying to gain chemistry. They haven't even been to a postseason together, let alone been playing together for a year. Everybody, DeMar and now Vucevic coming along. So really, I think all this whole time, and I have Milwaukee winning in 5. I mean, that's with all due respect to the Bulls, but I just think you can't put together chemistry in the playoffs. Like, this is a team, they have to gel. They have to come back next year. Maybe next year they get better and actually start beating good teams. But
what Sean said a couple of weeks ago to that point, Jeff, is I don't know if you're going to have the same DeMar DeRozan for next year.
And I don't think they should. Like, DeMar shouldn't have to do that. Like, they have enough talent on that team to spread the wealth. Like, they got especially when Lonzo comes back and everything. Like, the fact that DeMar had to go, Michael Jordan for 2 months, I don't think that's ideal.
Well, yeah, he's kind of his quality of shot is terrible. Like, he's shooting like all these mid-range faders that are highly contested in ISO situations, and like ISO basketball is like, obviously there's a lot more of it in the playoffs, but like, you're not going to win off of heavy ISO basketball in the playoffs. You're just not against teams like Milwaukee, So, they got guys like, they got guys in their backcourt that can handle that. Like, like Drew Holiday and eat that up for lunch.
Especially when the Bucks are battle tested. Like they're good.
Oh,
man.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is nothing to them. The Bulls are way more, nervous coming into these games. Like, no doubt about it.
How about who's your most valuable player of the opening weekend of the playoffs?
I would say Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
I think for a team that Minnesota, like, I had no clue that, listen, at least Minnesota's got guys on that team, but for Anthony Edwards to come out like he did and drop near damn 40 and beat a number 2 Memphis team that's healthy and has John Morant, who's actually playing pretty good. So I would say Anthony Edwards, probably my MVP, just maybe because it surprised me the most, but I'll give him his flowers.
I think he probably had the best weekend. I'm going to give an honorable mention. Chris Paul, 30 points, 12 of 16 from the field, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Guy was literally all over the court doing everything for that team. He looked like prime Chris Paul. I would argue we might be seeing prime Chris Paul right now. We might be seeing peak Chris Paul, which is scary because he's 35.
Big time. Just to be different, I'm going to go Jordan Poole, just because he really impacted that Warriors team. 31 points, and able to really make that Denver team kind of look a little foolish, to be honest with you. I mean, they're a team that,
they just look depleted. They don't look foolish. I just think they look gassed. They don't have anybody.
Right.
They're without Michael Porter Jr. and they're without freaking Jamal Murray.
Yeah. So when you have that much for Joker to put on his back, it's just not probably going to work out. But still, depleted, defeated, whatever. That can be a great word to describe Denver. But Jordan Poole is leading the charge for the Warriors to make them look like that, in my opinion. So
Troy, I made the comparison. I said Jokic looks like Russell Westbrook when he had that MVP year and they snuck into the playoffs. Like, I feel like a team like that relies so much on one guy and they're top heavy. Like, he just runs out of gas, man. And you saw Russell Westbrook, he made the playoffs. Like, he wrestled the MVP and then he just goes right out.
But I would still rather have Joker on my team than Westbrook.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, I'm not comparing the players.
And the way they affect winning, it's no comparison.
No, no doubt about it.
I would love for Joker to win a championship one day. I really would, guys.
I think
you think it'll be in Denver quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. I literally have no idea. The landscape of the league is so crazy. Does he look
like the guy that would
guys.
leave Denver?
No, I see him like a Dirk, man. Like I see him like a Dirk. I could see him being with Denver
and
for a while.
The year where you never would have thought Dirk would win, he won.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It might be one of those situations too. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, with that, guys, before we take our trip to From Mount Rushmore, I wanted to run by you a tweet that I made that blew up because this was a scenario on the Woodward Sports Network page, which you can follow at Woodward Sports on Twitter. We begged the question, what should the Pistons do this offseason? What moves would you like to see them make?
Oh, yeah.
And I said that the Pistons get the top 3 pick, land Jabari Smith Jr., trade Jeremy Grant to Portland, and in that trade, one of the pieces they get is their lottery pick. And then with that pick, we select Benedict Mathurin. We resign Marvin Bagley, and we sign Jalen Brunson. And
Mic
that
drop.
equals fireworks. Gentlemen, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that ain't fireworks.
All right, I got two problems, all right?
All right, I'm ready.
One of them is I don't think Jabari will be there at 3. But I really hope
said
he
top
will.
3. I didn't mean that means 3.
That could mean 1, Jeff.
Okay,
that could mean 1.
Imagine. Okay, let's say we get 3. Who would you say then?
Paulo
Paulo
if
for
he's
sure.
there. Yeah.
Okay, we're all on mutual terms. All right, but no, I like the rest though. And honestly, Jalen Brunson, I think you have to put a little parentheses in saying for this amount of money.
Yeah.
Like I think that's important because I like Brunson, but my God, man.
I'd sign him 4-year $80. I'd give him $20 million a year.
Yeah, actually, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we need scoring in the backcourt. And as far as the free agency class this summer, who's a better scorer in the backcourt than him?
No, you're right. I'm just talking about throwing money at him, but nothing. I don't know what he's commanding, obviously, but I like him as a player. I just he's not the future backcourt. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. No, I love your tweet, Sean. I very much do. One, I guess, scenario, if I'd had to backpedal a little bit with it, though, would be what if we land a guy like Ivy and we need instead, do we keep Jeremy Grant? Would that be a part of your scenario that would change, or would you still move Grant and bring in even a bigger, better piece at the 4 or 3?
Well, yeah, it's still the same thing of if we don't get one of those perimeter pieces from those like those prospects. If we don't get a top 3 pick, we don't get Jabari, Chet, or Paulo. You know, like if we don't get any of those 3 guys, then yeah, we need Jeremy Grant. It's I don't think that piece of it's changed. But in this scenario, if we get a top 3 pick and we do get one of those pieces,
sure,
Jeremy's going. He's going somewhere.
And can I give you credit too, Sean? I'm glad you're giving love to Ben Mathurin. He is. I mean, my God. If honestly, the only thing I would change too is if I like Ben Mathurin actually a little more than Shaedon Sharpe, just because I think he's more ready to play. But I think Shaedon Sharpe is another guy that you could possibly look at. But your point still stands. 2 lottery picks, sign me up.
And all I'm saying, imagine a lineup of Cade Cunningham, Benedict Mathurin, Jalen Brunson, Marvin Bagley, Jabari Smith Jr. Imagine that as a small ball lineup, and tell me that's
Sadiq Bey
not
coming
fireworks.
off your bench.
Well, Sadiq would start, in my opinion. But like, what I'm saying is like, make that a small ball lineup, and just tell those mother to run. Just make them run. And I'm telling you, man, fireworks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Jabari Smith, man, he is my favorite prospect. I cannot wait till the lottery. I just want to know where the Pistons are selecting. Then I can clear my head.
Should we do a live something that night, guys?
Well, we already are. We already are.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I did? You know what I did today too? I spun the tankathon 5 times. You see my tweet? Got terrible luck.
All right, hold on. Let's check your tankathon.
Check it out. I'm not gonna say it, but I almost slammed my head into my desk. After
I would have thrown up. All right. Oh God. You had one good one, but this isn't good.
Dude,
today's 5 tankathons. 5, 5, 6, 1, 7. Hold on.
Imagine 7.
I would. Yeah. No.
Imagine if Ben Mathurin's the only pick you end up with, or unless you trade for Portland. But
all right, we're gonna do a tankathon right here live on the podcast. You ready?
Let's do it.
This is gonna be the new segment every week. I'm half tankathon. All right, here we go. We're gonna do 5 times. You ready? 1.
All right.
5.
Okay, 5. Oh God.
6.
Oh,
bad
5.
juju.
6.
It's because I'm here, Sean. It's because I'm here. It's because I'm here.
All right. We're doing one more.
I can't be anywhere near this.
Damn it! Okay,
6.
we're not doing. We're done. Doing
Lakers
this
get 3. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah. Well, then it goes to New Orleans though. So New Orleans gets another top 3. We're doing one more. We're doing. Hey,
Hey,
Oklahoma City gets
Oh,
one.
Spurs climb up to 4 too. That's
Sacramento.
Okay, that's how you know this is a joke. Is that San Antonio? Like this is a joke because this isn't even right. This isn't even okay. This is no. We're done with this. This is stupid. We're done with Tankathon. We're canceling that segment altogether already.
already canceled.
Yeah, the way
Already
it went.
off
No. We'll do it again next week. But Troy, you know what segment we're never going to cancel from Mount Rushmore because we got to take a journey and end each episode taking a trip. And with that, Troy, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, I have an interesting one today, a little bit specific too. We are going to do the Mount Rushmore of most deserved MVP seasons since 2000. So from 2000 to 2021, what is our Mount Rushmore of guys who had the best season?
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Steph's MVP year in 2016 when he got the unanimous MVP.
Yep.
I would say it's pretty deserving when you get unanimous MVP.
Right.
And literally everyone that had a vote said, Steph's the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
especially a year when your team wins 73 games.
Oh my gosh. Steph was electric that year, man. That was pinnacle Steph.
It was arguably his best season. It was his best season. Let's just say it.
Yeah, I don't even think it's an argument. You get unanimous MVP. It's your best season.
I'm gonna say my most deserving MVP is Steve Nash over Shaq.
Oh
no, I'm joking.
I knew you were joking.
That is terrible. All right, no, I'm going Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
carried his team to the finals. I mean, he lost, but guys, come on, man. Over 30 points per game. I miss Allen Iverson. I think we're seeing a little bit of a player like that in Ja Morant and Trae Young. You get like a little blend of them in both the guys. So, Allen Iverson's mine.
Imagine this, Jeff. Imagine if we did a podcast the night after the Sixers beat the Lakers in game 1. How hyped that
Oh my God.
Imagine talking and celebrating that.
And then the rest is just and then you just figure it out from there. That would be crazy, honestly. If Allen Iverson, the fact that if you know what sucks, I always root for the underdog in some instances. Like I rooted for Russell Westbrook when KD left. Obviously, that was looking back on it, you're like, well, he's kind of done it to himself. But with Allen Iverson, it hurt me, man, that he was never able to truly win an NBA championship. Like Philly was. It's just Kobe and Shaq. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with 2011, Derrick Rose.
Oh,
is that the serious face Derrick Rose? Like after he hit the shot,
No, that's a few years later, actually. But this is the year he's the youngest MVP. He was 22 years old when he won MVP that year, and he had the Bulls had the best record in the East. Took them to the conference finals. They lost to Miami. That was Miami's first year with LeBron and stuff. And I mean, every game you knew what you were getting out of Derrick Rose, and he would lead your team to victory most nights. And just what he was that season was genuinely magical. It was magical, guys.
Yeah,
and I gotta thank Derrick Rose too, because you got to give it to somebody else other than LeBron. Like he would have won 5 straight.
Yeah,
or at least at that point it would have been 3.
And he just came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere.
And Derrick, I mean what a story, man.
Fourth season in the league.
LeBron, but
Fourth season in the league. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So I'm gonna do something a little bold. For the argument here. Because I'm gonna make the argument that the Mount Rushmore for the most deserving MVPs since 2000 should have Nikola Jokic of this season if we're doing the Mount Rushmore, because he hasn't even won the award yet. But in my opinion, I think we need to look at what Nikola Jokic did for his team. He literally led them in points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage. He literally was top 10 in points, rebounds, and assists. He leads the league in double doubles and triple doubles. And like the guy was just insane, man. Like just
Mhm.
individually from a team perspective, the fact that the Nuggets didn't even have to be in the playing game, the fact that they made it as far as they did. I mean, Nikola Jokic is a generational talent, and I think is one of the best big men of all time. And the season he just put on, unreal.
Yeah.
And storyline matters. In the
Mhm.
MVP conversation, storyline matters. And I think Jokic has one of the best storylines because all the injuries they suffered to their
Yeah.
best players, yeah, he deserves to be in that
stepping up.
conversation.
Yeah. I think Jeff and I deserve an honorable mention since you closed us, Sean. And I'm
Oh yeah,
gonna
you
go
guys
with,
get absolutely you do.
yeah, I'm gonna go with 2007 Kobe, his only MVP, and for the season. And the guy was again unreal that season. I think he put on 4 games in a row over 50.
Mhm.
Dude, that is unreal.
Mhm.
That year, that was Kobe's best season. Um, the Lakers needed him to step up. That was kind of his coming out party in a lot of ways of him without Shaq. Because if
Yeah.
you recall, when Shaq left, I mean, the Lakers struggled. They barely made the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs a couple of the years. And I think that was Kobe's year where he put anyone and everyone that said Kobe's only good with Shaq to rest. That argument died that season with when Kobe lit up the whole league. So that'd be my honorable mention.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I
Jeff,
think
who's your
quickly,
honorable
I'll say my honorable mention. It's not really, I give this guy a lot of shit, but one thing I gotta respect is a guy who, number one, makes history, and that's Russell Westbrook. Let me get this straight real quick. When Kevin Durant left the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we had Russell Westbrook with that team. I mean, Steven Adams. I like Steven Adams, but they didn't have anybody on that team with Russell Westbrook, barely. All right, so the fact that he was able to carry them, and I get it, low field goal percentage, I get it, and honestly, if he didn't average a triple double, he probably wouldn't have won MVP. But to do something that hasn't been done since Oscar Robinson, I don't care if you call him a stat patter, it's impressive to me, man.
Stat
Honestly,
patter.
and at this point, no, looking back on it, we're like, yeah, he's a stat patter. But at the time, I was like, dude, he's doing stuff I've never witnessed. And number two, for a guy to play that hard and get your team into the playoffs, I know they got smoked in the first round, but again, I got to give him a little bit of credit. I don't think he's the most impressive MVP, but honorable mention, no doubt. A guy who made history. I mean, I got to give him some sort of mention.
What was a better MVP season? Russ's MVP season where he got all those triple doubles, or Kevin Durant's 2013-2014 MVP season?
Yeah, Durant was better for
Yeah,
me.
because if you're talking about winning and what that means,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be KD.
What's funny about that Russ MVP though is that was my first year being friends with Sean, and Sean, you were pretty upset that Harden didn't win it that year because you thought Harden
should have won it that year, and I still stand by that.
Yeah.
Harden had an insane year.
Yeah,
The stuff
he
he did was crazy and actually led to winning. But that's a whole other discussion, a whole different day. And one more thing on Jokic, by the way. First season ever of 2,000, 1,000, and 500.
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
Like,
hey, expect a good game from him tonight. He could shock the Warriors tonight. It's possible.
It's possible, but it's not going to happen. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But you know what is going to happen? An episode of From Half Court each and every week here on this channel where you can follow my guy Troy Sergey on Twitter at TroySergey44. You can follow my guy Jeff Iafrady at Jeff Iafrady. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Half Court. Be sure to follow the channel at FH Court Pod. And also be sure to subscribe and follow us on all of your podcast services that your heart desires. We're going to be doing a giveaway real soon, and be sure to look out for that. But I want to thank you all so much for tuning in and listening to this podcast. We will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe. Also, that shit. All right. Anyway.
What?
And